Hey Calvary Phoenix, Pastor Jason here. I'm here with Pastor Zach, and we are really excited to share with you about the amazing things that God did on our trip with Christ Transformation Ministries to Uganda.
Last year, Pastor Brian and myself traveled to Uganda, and while we were there, we found that there was a real need in the Ugandan churches for pastors and ministers to learn and be raised up in biblical training. So at the end of last year's trip, Arthur McGazy, the founder of CTM, and Pastor Brian put their heads together and came up with an awesome plan. They wanted to bring Mission Bible Institute, which we have here at Calvary Phoenix, to Uganda. So this year, that's what we did. We held our first ever seminary classes through Mission Bible Institute in Uganda.
So that's what we were a part of for the first week of the missions trip. Pastor Zach and I were able to sit in this class taught by Professor Dr. Stephen Stanley here from the States, and he taught systematic theology. They hand-selected 20 Ugandan students, and they sat through 8 hours a day soaking up everything that Dr. Stanley shared. One gentleman came up to us at the end of the class and said that he'd been praying for 10 years that there would be a seminary class held in Uganda. And by the end of the class, all of the students were able to defend their faith from a Christian worldview from the scriptures.
But even though this ministry training through MBI is what this trip was built around, it was definitely not the only thing we did while we were over there. We held a multi-day crusade in one of the surrounding villages. We did a pastor's conference, and we had 90 pastors and leaders from the surrounding villages in the Busoga region come to hear and to learn from the gospel. A love mission, and we did street evangelism. And almost every day we visited a couple schools.
So we want to let you know about some of the results from the outreaches that we had during our time there. 2,000 people attended the week-long crusade. Of that 2,000, 1,200 people stayed and watched the Jesus film. 50 people responded to the gospel and accepted Jesus Christ. 20 people were baptized that Saturday at CTM's local church.
We visited both elementary and secondary schools, including one Islamic elementary school. We saw over 1,500 students, and we got to encourage them by song, preaching, and also just by playing games and having fun with the kids. Pastor Jason, myself, and the team ended up being a part of a deliverance and got to see one girl delivered from an evil spirit, and that very same day she accepted the Lord.
2 CTM Ugandan teams were able to show the Jesus film to 10 villages in eastern Uganda over a period of 5 days. Over 3,000 villagers saw the film, with over 200 people giving their lives to Jesus. Over a 4-day period, the CTM medical team provided services to over 2,500 people, averaging 600 people per day. On our last Sunday there, they took us to 2 remote villages in the Busoga region to preach their Sunday services. These 2 villages were so remote they had never seen or met Christian foreigners before.
So while we were there in Uganda, the Lord accomplished some really amazing things through the CTM team. And I know from the bottom of my heart, Pastor Jason and Brad, we just want to thank you all for your prayers and support while we were over there. God is doing amazing things in Uganda, and we know that there's a lot more to come and there's a lot more to do through CTM in Uganda. And if you'd like to support Christ Transformation Ministries, you can go to their website or their Facebook and keep up to date on what they're doing and how they're reaching people in these Ugandan villages.